I began my public service in Woodbridge in 1994 when I was asked by Pete Delena and Ricky Delena if I would be willing to serve on the Zoning Board of Adjustment. I said yes, and it was a real eye-opener for me. I learned an awful lot about the town, at different sections of the town, the type of housing and businesses and such that were around. And I also learned a lot of feelings from the people from the town. And at that point, I decided that I wanted to get involved and run for public office. In my life, I've had many role models. I've been very lucky to have met a lot of very, very important people. But the person who really got me involved in wanting to be involved in politics was my father. He was involved in politics in Jersey City, which was a pretty rough place for politics when I was growing up. And I used to go to rallies with him and listen to speeches, and I would be walking around the streets giving out literature, and I just got the political, I guess, bug from my dad. And even when he got out of politics, I was still I followed politics very, very closely. So when an opportunity arose for me to get involved in politics in Woodbridge, I jumped at it. You know, some people ask me what's the best thing about being a councilman or the worst thing about being a councilman. And it's easy to say that when you can help people out, that's a really nice thing. When you can't help people out, that's not such a great thing. But being a councilman, you get to see and you meet an awful lot of great people in this town, and you see how this town is just a great place because the people are always willing to contribute and do things. When I got involved in running for council, I started to meet, again, a lot of people who I hadn't known, and I made a lot of great, great friendships. And of course, you know, having served under Jim McGreevy and Frank Pelsman and John McCormick has, you know, just been a great, fulfilling thing for me. So, you know, they also served as role models along with my dad. So, being able to serve the people and being able to do the right thing is the thing that's most gratifying for me. After my wife and I moved down to Woodbridge and my children were growing up, of course, I got involved, like most parents, in Little League and basketball and football, and I coached my son and I coached my daughter and I coached a lot of teams in the different leagues. But what I also felt was I wanted to make more of a contribution, and so I actually became an officer in Forts Clara Barton Baseball League and eventually became the president of Forts Clara Barton Baseball League. And then when my son and daughter went to Bishop Bar, I became the president of the Fathers Club at Bishop Bar. And then I was involved with the Knights of Columbus, and I became the Grand Knight at the Knights of Columbus. So I always seemed to gravitate towards leadership roles, and I always felt like if you're going to complain about something, you should be willing to step up to the plate and do something to try to make things better. One of the things we're very proud of, and Councilwoman Velasco is very involved with, is Youth in Government Day. And we have students from high school that come in, and they kind of play the roles of the council and the mayor for a day, and it's very, very interesting to them. And some of the questions they ask us is, you know, how should I get involved as I get older in public service? And all I can tell you is that you should really learn about what's going on in your town, go to town meetings, try to understand what the issues are, try to form an opinion, and don't be afraid to come and voice that opinion. So you really should do your homework and really not be afraid to step up and voice your opinion. And I would encourage anyone who wants to get involved in public service to do that. You know, Mayor John McCormick is always saying that Woodbridge is the greatest town around, and I truly believe that Woodbridge is the greatest town around. And that's from a person who grew up in Jersey City. But Woodbridge is great. Anytime you see anything that happens that affects the people of this town, whether it's Eric LeGrand's accidents, whether it was the fire over in Avenel, whether it was the fire at Hess, the people of this town get together and help their neighbor and help each other. So it's a big town, but the town is also small because people are there to help. The organizations that we have in the town are all great. I mean, between the Chamber of Commerce, between the different charitable organizations that we have, everybody's always there willing to help, and it's just a great, great place to live. There's so many conveniences here. I mean, we have great restaurants, great malls. It's just a wonderful place. I don't ever regret one day my move to Woodbridge. Well, we're here in the Woodbridge Council Chambers where the council meets, obviously, and it's also a place where people from the public can come and, you know, they can speak about anything that's on their mind or ask questions of the council or the administration. We always have representatives of the administration here. And if you look up, you can see the picture of the Reverend John Woodbridge. Now, Reverend John Woodbridge is obviously who the township is named after, but I was looking at a history book, and it turns out he never even set foot in Woodbridge, which I think is a pretty funny item. But around the council chamber, we do have pictures of different scenes in the past of Woodbridge. Some are very, very nice. And we usually have some sort of display, actually, in the lobby. But what is really exciting is there is an effort now to build a museum, historical museum in the township, which is going to be over by the Parker Press building. So if anybody comes up to you and asks for a contribution to help build that historical museum, please do that, because this town has a great, great history, and everyone should know about it and appreciate it. Anytime you get honored like I'm being honored this evening, it's very gratifying and then humbling, of course, and you feel good because you feel like people recognize some of the good things you've done and probably ignored some of the bad things they may have thought you've done. But I thank the Chamber for this honor. I thank when I was the Grand Marshal of the Woodbridge St. Patrick's Day Parade, I walked around with a smile on my face for months because of the honor they gave me. And now this honor on top of that, it's hard to believe that it's happened, but I want to thank Carol Heil and the entire Chamber of Commerce and the nominating committee for bestowing this honor on me. And I will always be there to help and do anything I can for the Chamber, because you contribute so much to the fiber of this town.